Hey everyone, it's Mike Andes here, and every single day I get asked on this channel via email, how do I grow a big lawn care business? How do I build a big landscaping business? How do I scale? How do I get my first 10 customers, first 100 customers, first 1,000 customers? Guess what? It really comes down to one thing, and that's knowing two numbers. So I'm going to talk about those two numbers today, and the reason I'm talking about this is because people always ask me how to grow their business, how to get more customers, how do I get started, and it's very, very predictive. It's all about the numbers. With Augusta Lawn Care, we now have 50 locations, and so I've been able to see what works, what doesn't, and what numbers you need to know to actually scale the business predictively. And this is why when I start a corporately owned location, I know exactly how much I'm going to spend before we're profitable. I know exactly how much we're going to spend in terms of advertising before we're going to become profitable. It's all about the numbers. So these are the numbers you must know. And I know this from scaling Augusta Lawn Care. We have over 94% of our locations that get over $10,000 per month in revenue within the first 60 days of starting from nothing. And this is because we focus on knowing our numbers. So let me go ahead and just let the cat out of the bag right off the bat and tell you the two numbers you need to know. The first one is customer acquisition cost, and the second one is lifetime value of the customer. So let me explain this now though in more layman's terms, because most of us as landscapers, this is a bunch of Chinese to us. So customer acquisition cost. This is the amount of money it takes in advertising in order to get a new customer to join your business. Now, the thing that we don't usually talk about here is the fact that there is other costs to getting a customer acquired. The estimator going to the property perhaps, you spending time with the customer, selling them, calling them, getting the sale. All of those other things are going to get wrapped up in the actual cost of the acquisition, because it's not just your advertising cost, but for the sake of today's example, that's the majority of the cost, typically because we sell a service that doesn't take hours and days to sell somebody. It's usually pretty quickly, right? The lifetime value is the gross profit that comes from the customer over the course of their entire life. Now, in our business, most of us are going to have a 20% attrition rate when it comes to mowing customers. That's pretty common in this industry. What that means is that if I have 5 customers, if I have 5 customers, one of them is going to either sell their house, move away, cancel service, or potentially pass away. 1 out of 5 is going to do that every single year. But my goal is to be able to keep these customers as long as possible. So let's go ahead and just assume, using the fact that we have a 20% attrition rate, the average lifespan, or how long we can keep a customer, is 5 years. Now this is important, but we're going to go ahead and assume that is the lifetime of the customer. But what's the lifetime value? Now you might say, well, I sell them all these mowing services, and I sell them a leaf cleanup and a mulch install, and every single year I sell them $2,000 worth of services. That's great, but that's not the lifetime value of the customer. Because first of all, we have the fact that, hey, we did it for 5 years. So actually, the value of that customer is $10,000. However, again, when it comes to lifetime value, I'm not looking at the gross revenue. I'm looking at the profit. So let's assume now that we have, let's just be conservative, a 15% profit margin. Okay, so that means that for every $100 I make in revenue, $15 of that is in my pocket, in the bank at the end of the day. Net profit in the bank account. So if I use that analogy, that 15% is profit, that would mean that in terms of profit, I would then get $1,500. So now the lifetime value of this customer is $1,500. Why? Because I'm going to keep them for 5 years. Every year I'm going to get an average of $2,000 in annual revenue. That means that I'm going to get $10,000 in revenue over the course of those 5 years. And if I have a 15% profit margin, which I'm going to have a higher profit margin if you're small. If you're a solo operator, there's a really good chance you're at 40, 50, 60% profit margin. But we're just going to be very, very conservative with today's numbers, because I'm trying to convince you today to spend more money on marketing and scale your business using advertising. The biggest reason people don't grow is they're afraid to spend money in advertising because they don't know these numbers. If you know these numbers, I can almost guarantee you'll spend more in advertising if your goal is to grow your business. So we're going very conservative here, 15% profit margin. Our lifetime value of this customer is going to be $1,500. Now, back to our customer acquisition cost. Now, you might have a really simple way of getting your customer acquisition cost. Like, for example, you might have a Google Ads campaign. You spend $300 on Google Ads and you get 6 customers. All right, well, let's see what the customer acquisition cost is going to be. $300 in ads, and we got 6 customers. That's going to mean that we have a customer acquisition cost of $50. So our customer acquisition cost equals $50. Now this would be for Google Ads. It's very easy to see how much you spent. It's very, very transactional. What's a little more difficult is if we start throwing in things like labor in this, because let's say we do door hangers. All right, same thing. Let's go ahead and do a door hanger example here. So instead of running Google Ads or Facebook Ads or something that's very easy to measure your ad spend, we're going to do door hangers. So we're going to go ahead and spend 8 hours knocking on doors. And let's just assume $20 per hour. $20 per hour. So our cost on labor is $160. Let's assume that in that 8 hours, we're going to go ahead and distribute 400 door hangers. And again, you should probably get those door hangers from lawncaremedia.com, of course. Door hangers, 400 door hangers, that's going to literally cost you probably about, let's just round up and let's just say like $80. Let's do $90. Okay, so $90 is going to be the cost for these door hangers. All right, so now with our labor and the cost of the door hangers, it's going to cost us a total of $250 to get all these door hangers put out in maybe an entire day. Now, let's go ahead and assume then that we're going to get 10 people that are interested in our services. So 10 leads. Okay, now again, customer acquisition cost doesn't mean lead acquisition cost. All right, this is not cost per lead or CPL. This is CAC, which is customer acquisition cost. So just by getting 10 leads, I cannot say that my customer acquisition cost is $25. I can't say that. That would be my cost per lead. So my CPL would equal $25. Cost per lead would be $250 divided by 10. But let's say, for example, that I have a 50% close ratio, which means that half of those leads, I'm going to go and actually sell them from becoming leads into paying customers. Maybe I mow their lawn, etc. So now I'm going to get 5. So I'm going to have a 50% close ratio, which means I'm going to have 5 customers. And if I do $250 that I spent on labor and the cost of the door hangers, that is going to mean that I have a $50 customer acquisition cost. That's $250 divided by 5 customers equals $50 customer acquisition cost. Now, this is so important, because at the end of the day, you know what I just made a money machine. If I spend $50 acquiring a customer, I can dependably make $1,500. This is the beautiful thing about small business. Like, there's very few industries where you can literally times your money by 30. You know, we're going to $50 customer acquisition cost. We put $50 in, and I get out $1,500 over the course of 5 years. This is the beautiful thing about small business, and this is how you should be looking at growing your company. Because this is what happens. Everyone gets really discouraged when they do 8 hours worth of door hangers and knocking on doors and talking to people. They spent a bunch of money on door hangers. They spent $250, and you know, I only talked to 10 people, and I only closed 5 customers at the end of the day. But that's a $50 customer. I paid $50 for every customer. That's crazy. No, that's actually really good. Now, some of you might be saying, well, it's impossible that you get 10 leads in a day from just doing door hangers, knocking on doors, talking to 400 people in a day. Okay, well, let's just make the numbers even more conservative. Let's say that you only get, you only get 2 leads in the day. Okay, so now this is becoming, you did 8 hours worth of door knocking, giving out door hangers. Now our cost per lead is going to be $125. Not very good. But then we still have the same 50% close ratio, but we're only going to get 1 customer because we got 2 leads. We have half of them we're going to close. We only get 1 customer, which means our customer acquisition cost is actually $250. That's crazy. $250 customer acquisition cost. Now, if you were doing this, I would say you were doing a bad job, but it still makes sense from a mathematical standpoint. And the bottom line is why people don't grow their business is they spend $250, or I should say, they do an entire day's worth of door knocking, door hangers, talking to 400 people, printing these all off, get only 2 leads and 1 customer, and they just, this is a horrible business. I'm not going to do lawn care anymore. I'm going to go do big projects, or I'm going to do something else. I forget, the whole green industry is just a scam. I had to pay $250 just to get 1 customer. But if you actually zoomed out and knew your numbers and knew that you were going to keep that customer for 5 years, every year you're going to average $2,000 in revenue, and with a 15% profit margin over the course of 5 years, you make $1,500. You basically took this and you 6x'd it. You multiplied this by 6. You turned $250 into $1,500 worth of profit over the course of 5 years. That's a really good return on investment. You get a 6x return in 5 years. And so the bottom line is people don't want to wait 5 years, and they're not willing to keep putting money in and staying committed to the process. Because at the end of the day, if I told you, hey, you're going to spend $5,000 on marketing, and you're only going to get 20 customers, most people wouldn't want to do that. But that $5,000 with 20 customers implies a $250 customer acquisition cost. But again, you've got to stay committed to the numbers. You've got to know, I know what my customer acquisition cost is. I've tracked it. I know what that is. And by the way, you should be shooting for under 100. That's the goal for customer acquisition cost. My lifetime value, I know that I can keep my customers. I don't lose my customers every year. If you have bad customer service, you're not going to have 5 years. You're going to have like 1 year, 2 years. You're going to turn your customer base every single year. And $2,000, that's depending on, hey, I can't just sell them mowing. I'm gonna have to sell them some treatments. I might have to sell them a mulch-job or a leaf cleanup or bush trimming, because I've got to get them to $2,000 in annual revenue that I extract from them. And I've got to keep them for those 5 years to make that $10,000 in revenue, and I've got to keep my margin at 15%. This is the importance of knowing your numbers. And I say all of this to say, one of our franchisees I was talking to them last week, and they said, do you think I'm on track? Like, do you think I can hit my numbers? Can I make $1 million business in the next 2 years? I said, look, whether or not you can or can't I can't judge that. All I can judge is the numbers. And I said, when I look at your customer acquisition cost, it's just fine. It's whether or not someone's committed to running these numbers and constantly investing in their customer acquisition cost and then pumping out a solid LTV, lifetime value. That's what builds a great, big business. So if your goal is to build a big business, you need to know your customer acquisition cost, you need to know what your lifetime value is, and then start tweaking how you can improve each of those areas. Can you tweak how many of these door hangers you can put out in an hour? Can you tweak your close ratio and improve that? Can you tweak how long you keep the average customer? Can you make this $3,000 by selling them extra services and getting more upsells? Can you improve your profit margin? Instead of being 15%, can you change that to 20 or 25%? These are the little things that you start moving around in your business, and once you figure out that your customer acquisition cost is so much lower than your lifetime value, you should confidently be able to put money into your business and see it grow. Most people don't let their business doesn't grow as fast as they want it to because they're not committed to the numbers. You've got to have faith in those numbers, though, so when you put $250 in, which you shouldn't, you should only spend like $100, maybe $150 on customer acquisition costs, but if you know that the numbers are working out, you should be able to keep investing into your business. Not in the form of big trucks, not in the form of big equipment, but in the form of advertising. It's going to be a thing that gets you more customers for a longer period of time with good customer service, improves your margins, and allow you to predictably keep growing the business. Numbers make the world go round, and they make your business more profitable. I'm Mike Andes. Check out landscapebusinesscourse.com, lawncaremedia.com, and lawncarewebdesign.com if you would like to grow your lawn care landscaping business. We'll see you tomorrow.